cleaning your brushes. However, I do not recommend that you use a turpentine substitute other than mineral spirits for making mediums, because the turpentine substitutes will not interact chemically in the same way as will mineral spirits or turpentine. Now, that has to do with the materials on my table. The last element I want to mention has to do with the canvas. This is a 24 by 20 inch canvas. This is a pre-stretched acrylic prime canvas. The only time that I use pre-stretched canvases is for giving demonstrations. I give a few during the year, and I simply don't want to take the time to stretch all those canvases. For all other work that I do, I generally buy rolls of canvas, always linen. Linen is a better product than cotton, but there's nothing wrong with cotton. I buy rolls of linen, I buy heavy-duty stretcher bars, and I always stretch my own canvases. Not only is it more economical to buy rolls of canvas and stretcher bars and do it yourself, but you often end up with a better product than they mass produce in the factories. Now, this is an acrylic primed canvas. There are oil primed canvases and acrylic primed canvases. And in class, in a couple of days, I'll be talking about the differences between those ways of making canvas. The elements that I mentioned, this being an acrylic primed canvas, a cotton canvas, pre-stretched canvas, none of those things are yet the most important aspect of this canvas. I believe the most important item has to do with the weave of the canvas. And there are three types of weave from which you can select your canvas. You can use a fine weave canvas, a medium weave canvas, or a rough weave canvas. And then to make it a bit more complicated, there are single primed canvases that have one coat on them, and there are double primed canvases. And I'll talk again about that later in the week. Depending upon the kind of work that you want to do, it's important to select the texture of the canvas that will give you the results that you want. If you want to do work that has a lot of detail and a great deal of such as painted portraits, then one would select a fine weave canvas. The natural character of your brush stroke on a fine weave canvas will be sharp. If you want to do paintings that have a lot of thick paint and a lot of rough characteristics, then I would recommend to you that you use a rough weave canvas. The natural character of your brush stroke on a rough weave canvas will be broken and splattered and grainy, and you will become an instant automatic impressionist when you work on a rough weave canvas. What I am working on is a medium weave canvas. On a medium weave canvas, one can obtain both rough, thick, impressionistic characteristics, and you can also get fine, sharp, subtle details. Now, I have set the easel up so that it is straight up and down. In fact, even leaning forward just a little bit. I have the canvas parallel to my model, and I have the canvas at the middle of it at my eye level or slightly above. All of that is very deliberate. To begin with, when one paints in oil, there are immediately considerations of glare and reflection on the wet paint on your painting. And one of the ways of minimizing the glare is to have your canvas straight up and down, vertical. If glare persists, as you progressively tilt the top of your canvas forward, you will minimize the glare. If you work on a tripod easel leaning backwards, you will have a maximum glare and reflection. So your easel ought to be straight up and down. The ability to be able to tilt the top forward slightly. I have the canvas parallel to my model, so I can look at my model and simply shift my eyes left and right to see the image that I'm painting. I have my table between myself and the model. table. I'm setting up ideal conditions for myself. Painting out on the left-hand side of my canvas with the table in close proximity to the model. But as a painter, you really need to train yourself, if you've not already done so, to be able to paint under less than ideal conditions. You have to know how to paint out of the right-hand side of your canvas as well as the left. You need to know how to paint when your subject is there. You've got to put all your equipment over to the right. Additionally, apropos of glare and reflection, if you're doing a painting that has a particularly dark background, the background may act like a mirror and it may reflect your own clothing. So should that happen, I would recommend you wear dark clothing when you're painting.